Hello, and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 2205. The topic is training, and the title is, How Much is Too Much? I had somebody recently reach out and send a message that related to this question, so I thought I'd share the message and then answer the question. So they wrote, I want to get into competitive powerlifting and running, like half and full marathons. But I also would like to look muscular and be able to handle myself well. I've been an athlete my whole life, so I still want to feel athletic. I've been watching Nick Bare on YouTube. I'm assuming you've heard of him. So if you haven't, he does like heavy lifting. He's very strong, and he does long distance running, and he looks really good. He looks jacked. So pretty good there. His name is Nick, N-I-C-K, and the last name is B-A-R-E. So he said, I like that look. Muscular, lean, strong, but also a good runner. I'd love to have that same look. I reached out to you because you work with a friend of mine, and they've made great progress. I know Nick offers programs online, but I know I also need help with nutrition, and I would like someone to help personalize the programming, so I'm using my time most efficiently. I have the money, I checked out your prices on the website, and I have the time. I am free every day outside of work hours, 8 to 4, and I've already been training a lot. I've been doing 2-a-days, 5 days a week. What I need help with is, 1, am I doing too much? 2, how can I best personalize my programming? 3, how should I be eating? I don't think I'm eating enough, but I also don't want to get fat or carry around unnecessary weight. Okay, so we chit-chatted a little bit, and I gave him some answers, and we're going to start working together, so yay, that's always fun. And this concept, this question, ties in with another question I had with a client who was asking me about proper workout volume. They wondered if they were doing too much. So this question of how much is too much? The answer is not fun because it's very general, is it depends on your goal, your schedule, and how well you can support the training adaptations. So what people really want to know when they ask how much is too much, they want to know is what's the right amount to do for optimal progress? Like, how much do I need to do? I don't want to do more than I need to do, but I want to make sure I'm doing enough. So that's kind of what they're looking for. The answer is do better first, then do more. So let's go through this. Now, that client who reached out and sent the email, and now we're working together, they were running before work. They were running on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for about 60 to 90 minutes. And then they were weight training after work, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, for about 60 to 90 minutes. They have a weight setup at home. Actually, a pretty damn good setup. Then Wednesday was a recovery day. So they made a homemade ice bath thing, which looks awful, but they love it. And they have a massage therapy gun. And then they aim for 2 extra hours of sleep. So they sleep in the morning rather than the running. And that gives them the extra sleep that day. And then after work, they do the ice bath. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They sleep extra. They do the ice bath in the morning. And then after work, they do the massage therapy and just kind of have a relaxing night. They do food prep and stuff. So they still feel very productive with that. And then Saturday mornings, they've been doing rucking because they heard that was really good for just strength-based cardio fitness kind of stuff. And then Sunday's another recovery day, the ice bath, the massage gun, food prep, all that stuff. So is that too much? Nope. What was actually holding them back was their nutrition. So he's around 180 pounds, about 15% body fat. So he actually looks good, but he looks flat and soft. So he should look better than what he does look, but he still looks fit, if that made any sense whatsoever. And the problem was he was only eating about 3,000 calories a day, and he was aiming for 180 to 220 grams of protein a day. So at his body weight, maybe a little bit more for protein, but he was only eating 3,000 calories a day. So he had made initial progress with his Monday, Wednesday, Friday approach. Like instead of doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for everything, he was doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, running in the morning, lifting at night. But that progress kind of stalled out. So then he switched to Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then added the Saturday morning rucking. And what the problem is nothing improved, and it's because he's out exercising his nutritional support. So if we look at basic calculations and estimations for where he should be, giving his body weight, body fat percentage, activity levels, I mean, he should be eating a minimum of 3,500 calories. He actually should probably be eating more than that. So he's been under eating by a minimum of 500 calories per day. His protein is around 25%, which is actually pretty good. It means there's plenty of available carbs and fats for energy, but unfortunately he's just burning through those. So not only does he not have enough carbs and fat energy to fuel his activities, he's not having enough to fuel like protein synthesis, recovery, and adaptations. So this has led to his physique appearing very soft, even though he's lean, and it's caused his performance to plateau. He's starting to get a little bit of a knee issue that he said he's never had before. So he's definitely out exercising his nutritional support. And I see this all the time, especially in CrossFit athletes and hybrid athletes. They struggle to eat enough to match their activity, their recovery, and their adaptation demands or expectations. Then often when they try to correct the issue, they end up overeating at like a specific time window. They try to like make up for missed calories by overeating at night, and that's just never really going to work. They go through the day underfed, then they go at night and have this excess, and they slowly accrue body fat, or they have a flat physique, the body composition doesn't look very good, they're behind in recovery. So in those cases, and in his case, he's not doing too much, he's actually just under eating. If he ate more, he'd be fine. So I've worked with professional and Olympic level athletes as well as high level like CrossFit Games athletes, and they all have very, very aggressive training schedules. So one swimmer I worked with, she did 2 hours of swimming before school, 2 hours of swimming after school, and then had dry land work, which is like their form of like strength training, 3 times a week for 30 minutes after the evening swim. So that's 20 hours of swimming plus 90 minutes of weight training each week. And for context, she was likely burning over 1,000 calories in 1 2-hour swimming session. So she was burning over 2,000 calories in exercise alone per day on top of her normal dietary needs. So she was 150 pounds, but she was eating around 4,500 to 5,000 calories a day. That was the window we had. And her performance was great. Her body fat stayed where it needed to be. We actually didn't want her too lean because she wouldn't have the right buoyancy in water. So she actually needed to have a certain level of body fat. So 4,500 to 5,000 calories a day for a 150-pound female is an insane amount of food. That's a lot of food. And she slept 8 hours a night, no excuses. Was that too much? No. She knew the work level her goal required. She made room for it in her schedule, and then she managed her recovery, food and sleep, to maximize those efforts. So she ended up becoming an alternate for the Olympics that year. That we worked together for over a year, but during that year, that goal was to get to the Olympics. She didn't quite make the team, but she got to be an alternate, which was pretty cool. So other high-level athletes I work with. I had a CrossFit Games athlete who was also owned a CrossFit gym, like a CrossFit box, and they would teach classes at 5:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. They had their morning training session from 8 to 10 a.m., taught classes in the midday, which I believe were around 11 a.m. and noon, and then they had an afternoon session of 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. of weight training. Then they taught the evening classes, 4:30, 5:30, and 6:30. Then they would go home and pass out by 9, get back up at 4:30 the next day and do it all over again. Now, when they needed for traveling purposes or when we got closer to competitions, they would pay a trainer to cover the evening classes for them. They liked the morning ones because it kept them in a good routine and got them up out of bed. But they would pay somebody to train the evening ones just to give them extra recovery and extra sleep. So that was teaching classes 7 hours a day plus 4 hours of weight training on their own and doing that 5 days a week. And then on the weekends, they basically just slept all weekend. They were useless pretty much all weekend. Was that too much? No, they got to the freaking games. They got to the CrossFit Games. That was their goal. They needed to eat 5,000 to 7,000 calories a day, and they would sleep all weekend, but they did it. They matched their nutritional and recovery support to meet their training demands. And that's the limiting factor. The deciding factor of how much is too much is it depends on how much you eat and rest. When you train, you cause stress to the body. and you create a demand for change. How you recover from that stress and how you fulfill that demand is food and sleep. Our bodies are capable of immense amount of work. It is amazing what the human body can actually do and survive from. Ridiculous. It's actually crazy. So how much your body can tolerate depends on your food and your sleep. How much you need to tolerate, like workout-wise, it depends on your goal. I have worked with people in, my gosh, so many categories of strength, aesthetics, running, endurance. You can actually see the categories on our website, www.brutalirongym.com. Let me go there real quick and just run you down. So I've worked with over 3,000 clients, for sure, over the years. I've counted up the names. I've worked with actors, actresses, athletic sports, like bikini, wellness, figure, physique, men's physique, classic physique, bodybuilding, aging population for bone density, mobility, strength, athlete rehab, college scholarships in multiple sports, CrossFit Games athletes, dancers, endurance athletes, firefighters, first responders, hikers, adventure racers, people for hormones, martial artists, medical reduction needs, military needs, modeling, musicians, people with neurodiversity, if you know what that is. I've done nutritional therapy for people with a bunch of issues, celiac disease, diabetes, PCOS, coming back from like those Wegovy and GLP-1 type drugs, Olympic athletes, personal trainers, over half my clients are personal trainers, powerlifting, pregnancy, pre and post, professional athletes in multiple sports, strongman, swimming, wrestling, and much more. So that's the quick list of people I've worked with. And I say all that to say that every single person in all of those different ranges and different goals, they all had different schedules, they all had different life demands. So how much you need to do is incredibly, incredibly varied. I mean, just, it's all over the map. So if we think in like a couple main categories is strength, say powerlifters and strongmen. I've trained some people, they train 3 times a week at 60 minutes, and they were competitive and they did well. I've trained other people, they train 4 times a week, other people 5 times a week. I don't typically like to do more than 5 for strength-based athletes because then you have to really be careful with how much you're loading connective tissues. So I would probably stay somewhere within 3 to 5. Usually 4 workouts per week is what I would consider kind of great. If they could do that, perfect. How long do the workouts need to be? Usually 60 to 90 minutes. That's it. If you're in there longer, you're probably wasting time. Aesthetic athletes, bikini, wellness, figure, physique, men's physique, classic physique, men's bodybuilding. Usually 4 or 5 workouts a week, 60 to 90 minutes per workout. That's enough. That gets the job done. They're competitive. I've helped people earn pro cards, tested and non-tested. So you can take whatever drugs you want and don't take any at all. I've helped people in both those categories. Running, that can be anywhere. I've helped people run marathons if they only train twice a week. Some people will run 4 times a week. You can have it anywhere, kind of all over the map. The amount of what it takes is so varied because it depends on a person's available schedule, how far they actually want to go in that goal. Do they want to be a professional, or do they just want to be competitive in some way, or do they just want to do it for fun? And then how much can they eat? How much can they sleep? So what we really want to focus on when we ask how much is too much, it's more important to focus on how much can I support? Can I eat enough? Can I sleep enough? Not only to meet the activity demand, but also then we want to be able to recover from the demand. But then we also want to be able to create positive adaptations from the demand. So it's not just eating enough to get through it. You also need to eat enough to get through it and recover from it. But then also enough to get through it, to recover from it, and to make positive adaptations from it. So when you want more from your training, if you're like, man, I want to make greater progress, first look at your nutrition and sleep. Maximize the hell out of your food quality and sleep quality. Make sure your nutrition, make sure you're getting the right amount of calories, the right amount of protein, and then trying to spread that stuff out throughout the day so you're properly fed. You don't have big windows of being underfed and big windows of being overfed. Sleep quality. I tell you what, just do anything you can to try to go to bed at the exact same time every night. That helps immensely. That's, in my opinion, and some research I've read recently, that is the bigger impact of kind of all things sleep. is if you can get the body to go to bed at the same time every night, even if you have to get up at a little bit of a different time, that helps immensely. And then we want to look at what we already do and can we do it better. And then finally, we would look at maybe doing more. Adding more to training is the last option. When you want more from your training, adding more to your training is the last option. It's food and sleep first, and then what you already do, can you do it better? And then finally, if you've maximized the first things, which I will tell 99% of you that you probably won't, so stay looking at those first three. But if you maximize those first three, then you might consider doing more. But doing more doesn't help if you don't have the nutritional support. I've seen it literally thousands of times. Doing more will not help if you don't have the nutritional support. You're doing more to push for more adaptation. To fulfill the demand of adaptation, you have to have sleep and food. So once you're doing more than your food can support, more doesn't help. Does that make sense? Hopefully. If you have any questions, if you need anything, reach out. My email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. If you like the podcast, please share the podcast. The more people that know about it, the more people can be helped by it. If you share it on social media, that reaches the most amount of people. But even if you're just sharing a conversation with somebody, let them know the podcast exists. Let them know that I'll answer their questions totally for free anytime they need. They can just shoot me an email at brutalirongym@gmail.com. If you like the podcast, you can donate to support the podcast on our website, or you can also go to Nutricost.com, which is a supplement store, and you can use the code BrutalIron10 for a 10% discount on your supplements, and then whatever you purchase, we get a 10% commission. So that's another way to give back to the podcast if you would like to do so. Then if you like the information we share in the podcast, you can find more and unique information from us every single day on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.